Hi, this is Jodi. Welcome to my Stamp with Jodi YouTube channel and episode 19 of the Great American Stampin Show. The layout that we're using this time, template number 19, is a little bit tricky, but I think you'll like what I came up with. It's actually one of the favorite cards I've made in season 3 of the Great American Stampin Show. So be sure to watch through my whole video and then go ahead and watch Shannon and Brandy and Julie, and you can find their links right here in the description of my video. And then you know the routine. You go back and you give a thumbs up vote to the one that you enjoy the most. So let's see who's going to get the crown for this episode of the Great American Stampin Show. All right, like I said, this is episode 19, which means this is the template right here we're working with. Lots of little circles, like 12 circles there and a banner piece. So I'm going to be honest, I was pretty stumped when I saw that layout. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because I knew there was just no way in heck I was die cutting 12 circles, and we don't have little circle punches right now that would fit. You know, I think our smallest one is like around 2 inches or so, and so there's no way that would work. So I was trying to brainstorm and figure out what in the world I wanted to do, and I decided I was going to need to use a punch. So I chose this Bee Builder punch right here. It's got a little thought bubble and a couple hearts on there. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm using the marbled Elegance designer paper. So let me just show you that a little bit, and then I'll just keep the piece I'm going to use and get the rest out of the way. So it's got some Melon Mambo, some Flirty Flamingo, some gold foil, really, really pretty paper. I've used this before, so if you've been following my videos, you've seen it. But this is the paper I decided to use. So I've got the Bee Builder punch, the marbled Elegance paper, and somehow I'm going to try to come up with 12 little pieces. In this case, hearts, not circles. So let me pull in some of the pieces that we're going to use. This is a piece of thick basic white cardstock, so I'll line up the corners. I did score that in advance. I always score the thick cardstock. It just helps it to fold better. And then I've got this piece. Now you'll notice this is what's on the back. So I really like this particular pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and attach a layer so that it's more of the monochromatic that shows up. So it's just this Melon Mambo piece right here that we see, okay? And then I'm going to be working with this piece of basic white that'll layer like that. Now, this is the piece that's going to have all those little pieces. And I like the circles, but like I said, there wasn't any way I was going to die cut that much. Our punches are great for multiple repetition. So I took a piece of this designer paper. I always hold my punches upside down so I can see exactly where I'm going, and just popped it out. And it's really great because on this paper, you get a variety. Twist it a little bit. You get a variety of different colors with, I'm going to go like this because I also ended up punching some little hearts. So we'll just set those aside for now. But that's all I did, was just take this piece of designer paper and just scoot the punch along to get different hearts. Okay. So rather than show you me punching 12 times, we're going to use a little magic of TV. So I do want to point out, there's in the layout, there's 4 rows of, in our case, hearts. But what I want to do is just kind of show you how I laid them out. And then there's that banner piece in the middle. So I'm using a piece of gold foil there. And so this just kind of helps you align where those hearts should go so that you have room for that banner piece in the center. The other thing that I would suggest is that you can attach them by putting one over on the left, one over on the right, and then the center one can just be centered in the space that you have left. It's a lot easier than if you do this one and then the next one, and then you're like, oh crap, that didn't really space out evenly. So if you do the two end ones first, then you can put this one in the center, right in the middle of the space that's left over. Hopefully that makes sense. I found that to be a really helpful tip. So that is the quick part of this quick and creative card. So magic of TV, I went ahead and punched them out and attached them because I think the only thing worse than watching me punch out 12 hearts would be watching me attach 12 hearts. So nobody's got time for that. So we'll just set that one aside and pull this one in. So all 12 hearts are attached and there is room for the banner piece to go right here in the center. And then this is what we will attach over here on the card base that we've already prepped with that layer of designer paper too. So that's the quick part. But now what I want to do is show you the creative part, because remember, my cards are quick and creative. This is definitely quick and it's cute, but it needs a little bit more creativity in my opinion. So what I want to do is add a little bit. You noticed when I used the heart punch that I got a couple of other little hearts, right? So what I decided to do was to take some of these hearts and I grabbed my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Do you know that we have mini Stampin' Dimensionals? They're super tiny, much tinier than the OG dimensionals. These are awesome for things exactly like this. So these little tiny hearts, a regular size dimensional, you would see right through it. So I'm just taking some of these. I've already placed the dimensional on the back and I'm adding them to some of the hearts. I'm not putting them on all of the hearts. I'm just adding a little creative element to every other heart. So we'll do that. Pull it up so you can see. So that just adds a level of creativity. It gives it some depth on these hearts, different patterns, so it's subtle, but yet it jumps out too, and just that little bit of depth there. So that's our first creative element. We're going to do a couple of other things too. So what I want to do with this, if you remember from the layout, it had notched ends like a banner. So we'll do the usual where we cut up like that from the corner and notch the paper. This gold foil is great because it really ties in to the gold foil that you see in that specialty designer paper. Okay, so we'll get those little pieces out of the way. I don't really need this one anymore. We'll get it out of the way. And I think I'm going to go ahead and attach this to our card. Place that on here. I really like the way this card turned out. Like I said, I was just really skeptical, not sure what in the world I was going to do, kind of intimidated by this layout. So I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. I hope you like it too. So we'll just line the banner up here. And then we need to add a couple more elements of creativity. So let me pull back in one more time the layout that we have here. So I think what we've got so far is pretty on point with that. Let's see if I can hold it like this. Right? So you've got the 12 little, in our case, hearts, the banner piece in the center. We added some dimension with the little hearts raised up with those mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Now what I want to do is I need a greeting in this part right here. And so I took an image from Friends for Life. It says love you, and I thought this was an appropriate greeting for this card. So I'm going to ink it up on my Versamark ink. Oh, before I do that, learned the lesson the hard way on this before. So this is my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to rub that gently across my cardstock to help take some of the static out, which then when I stamp with my Versamark and pour my embossing powder over it, it's going to help it only stick to that stamped image. When I forget to use the embossing buddy, I get random flecks of embossing powder in other spots, just the static in the paper, it sticks to it. And then when I heat it, there's random flecks of color. So we definitely don't want that. So I'm going to pull in my heat tool and we'll just melt this. It's white embossing powder. And so it will pop right off of this Melon Mambo cardstock. You can see it there starting to melt. And I'll flip the cardstock. Okay, I think we're good there. And then what I want to do, honestly, I'm just going to take my sweatshirt here and just kind of rub some of that excess embossing buddy powder right off of there. I could use my paper trimmer, but since I didn't grab it and bring it over here, I'm just going to use my scissors and trim that down a little bit. And then I also just want to do an angle. So we've got the little notched banner there, but I just want to do an angle on this just to give it a little bit of a different look there. Okay. So to add this to the card, isn't that so fun? To add this one, I'm going to pull in those mini dimensionals one more time and put a few on the back here. It's really nice to have these little ones when you've got smaller pieces that you're working with. You don't have to tear or cut the bigger ones apart. It's just really handy to have the smaller ones here. Okay, so I'll set this centered on there. Scoot it just a touch. Okay. So that's another creative element that we're doing with the embossed greeting there. I love how the light picks up on the foil and all of the hearts, and obviously that foil strip. Really fun. Okay, the last thing I want to do, I'm going to take, this is some newer gold twisted thread, and I've got two pieces that are the same length here, and I'm just going to attempt to tie a bow with both of the pieces together so that it's got a little more substance to it. Because it's thread, it is a smaller piece that I'm working with, as you know, as opposed to like ribbon or something. It's a little bigger. So I think I'm good with that size. I did cut it plenty long so I could work with it. And then I'm just going to trim the ends. Let's see if that's enough. I might want to trim a tiny bit more. All right, and then the last thing I need is just a little glue dot, and I'm going to take it on here and just roll it up with my finger, and then I'll set it just right on the edge here, on the edge of that Melon Mambo, and then set my bow right down into it like that. I really, really like the way this turned out. I sure hope you do too. It was really fun to just, you know, try to come up with a different idea, because like I said, I knew I wasn't going to die cut all of those shapes. So that I just looked at my shelf and looked at my punches, and this one just jumped right out at me. I really like the little hearts on there, the embossing, the gold thread, but I feel like it's maybe missing one thing. What do you think? I feel like I'm going to add one more little bit of creativity, and that is iridescent foil gems. And I'm going to add these little gems just to the hearts that are popped up, just those little hearts. And I think that is what's going to take it over the edge and get me your vote this week for the Great American Stampin' Show. I'm really excited to see what Julie and Shannon and Brandy came up with, because I think we were all a little bit challenged with this layout. So I'm really excited to see what everybody came up with. What do you think? Does that just add that extra special touch and top it off? I love it. I love this card. Quick, creative for sure. Take a look at all of the other videos. So watch the other 3 videos, and then you know the routine. Come back, give a thumbs up vote to the one that you enjoy the most, and that video, that competitor is declared the winner for this week of the Great American Stampin' Show. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now so that you don't miss out on any of the other videos that I offer. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.